do you think that is that the biggest issue in coaching, is trying to find that work-life balance and how that plays out in your life?
If it's not the biggest, it's very, very, it's in the top three, to be honest with you. You see guys all the time that in coach, I keep saying guys, there's girls too, but you see guys all the time in coaching that it's one or the other, and they're not moving up in jobs by level where there's more time commitment, more stress if they have a family, or they're saying, I'm not going to take, or they have to say, like, I can't have it all. I can't have that job that I want that's really high paying or high profile if I want to see my family fairly regularly at all. You can't have it both ways. So I think for every Instagram post that a coach puts out there about his family once a week, that's really what it is. It's one Instagram post. It's not the continual every single day. I know guys are finding little nooks and crannies, but I mean, is that what you want to do? Do you just want to be a nook and cranny father, husband? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think it also depends on what season of life they're in. So you can be somebody like me that I didn't know any better. I didn't see any better. And I'll be honest with you, our marriage and my fatherhood might still be not very good. And I might still be coaching if I didn't have a friend in the right place at the right time that offered me a different outlook of where to work. You know what I mean? So I'm only saying those things today because it worked for me. It happened to happen for me. But there's a whole lot of things that I wish I could have done different. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and you're so blessed in the situation scenario you're in now, right? Because especially now you can look back and look at all these other coaches that are just, again, and I think, again, in general, guys struggle with that work-life balance. And even me, is when I started the ministry, I caught myself just getting so caught up in trying to help others that it was like, whoa, hold on a second. I'm losing focus, because you get so caught up in, and I can imagine it's the same way in coaching. It's, I'm pouring in, I'm helping this young man become a man, both on and off the field. And so that becomes so much of part of what you're doing that somehow you feel like there's something good coming out of that, but you lose sight of what that same pouring into is not happening in your family, right?
100% correct. 100% correct. Every extra hour-long meeting that you've got to have in the office at 6 o'clock means that that's another hour that you're not at home that you could be. You know, and I use 6 o'clock just as a reference point. But it's, certain times of the year, you've got 6 a.m. weights, and you've got to be there at weights and be with your team. Okay, then you need to meet with a couple guys after weights. And all of a sudden it's like, I missed getting the kids ready, and my wife's got to shoulder the burden. And on top of the time commitment that you have to take away from your kids, if you have kids, that's also more of a burden that you're putting on your spouse. And you don't think about it, because most coaches' wives say, I'll handle it. I know this is the gig. This is what I signed up for, but it still doesn't mean it's right. So you've got to find ways to if you're a head coach, you've got to allow your assistants to do some things for you. And that's something that I feel like my last year, maybe 2 years, I had to leave practice sometimes to go pick up my daughter or to go do something. And I did it. If I was an assistant coach at a larger school or something where I was not held accountable more, but I would have been expected to do those things, I just wouldn't have been able to be quite honest with you. But since I was a head coach, I felt like I could. And I felt super guilty about it, leaving practice for 30 minutes. 30 minutes, right? You can leave work for 30 minutes at a lot of different professions. I left practice for 30 minutes, felt guilty about it. Now looking back on that, I think I showed my players that I was going to put my family first. And they might not realize it. They might not realize it till they see this interview. They might not realize it till they have kids. But they were like, hey, you know what? It's okay. I had a coach that didn't spend 15 hours a day in the office. I had a coach that cared about me, and I had a coach that really cared about his family and the show. And then if that's the case, if one guy feels that way, then I can feel like I did something worthwhile in my profession.
Dude, but what else that's doing, let me start that over. But the other thing that's doing is it's showing you're leading by example, even among your other coaches, for them to see this guy he puts family as priority. That's huge, man, especially with the younger coaches, so that they see, dude, it's not just all about wins and games and, work. And I can see, especially in coaching, it's that idea of, and it happens in the corporate world too, where the guy's like, I got to be the last one to leave so everybody sees that I'm working. They're sitting around doing nothing for hours, but they want to be the last one who leaves. And I'm sure that's kind of the pressure in coaching too, right? I'm going to wait to be the last guy to leave so the head coach will think I'm putting in all these hours. Is that's probably another big issue, right?
100%. Yeah, no doubt. That's what it is. There's times too that I would say to one of my assistants, hey, get out of here. You spend enough time every day, just get out of here. No, we got this to do. I'm like, no, really, leave. You need to get out of the office. You have to. And there's some guys who understand that, and there's some guys who don't understand that. And I've nothing wrong with you. You want to pour everything you've gotten into your work, that's fine. Just don't neglect your family. So, and like what I tell a lot of guys is give more of yourself, and I'm guilty of it too. Give more of yourself. So if you have 24 hours in a day and you're going to give 12 of it to your career, that's okay. If you can find a way to give a lot of your hours also to your family, that means give up some of your sleep. That means give up some of your leisure activities, whatever it is, because you need to give more of yourself to the people that expect it of you.
What does the game of baseball teach a young man about life?
It teaches more than any other sport because it is a game of failure. As a hitter, you fail 70% of the time. That means you hit 300 and people think you're successful. And it also, you have, the biggest thing is, there's a quote somewhere from a famous manager. I stole it. I don't know if it was Earl Weaver or who, but baseball's the greatest game because you have to give the other man their chance. You can't run the clock out. You can't run a trick play. You can't just say, we're gonna take a knee 3 times and the game's over. No, you have to get all 21 outs or 27 outs, depending on how long the game you're playing. You have to get those outs. There's no easy way out. So you have to give everybody their fair chance to win the game. And then also it's a game of failure, and it's a game of mental toughness that doesn't happen in real quick spurts. Like football happens, there's a play, boom. Those guys are really smart. I can't imagine memorizing a football playbook. The play happens, then it's over. And the play happens, then it's over. Well, in baseball, the play happens, then it's over. Then you wait even longer. You've got to be mentally tough and understand what could the next play bring you. There's no script. There's not a lot of film to watch. Like in basketball, you know what your opponent's going to do. Football, you see that sometimes as well. But baseball, there's no script. I mean, you have to be able to react on the fly and understand what the opponent's giving you.